I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you hear a few years ago, and it didn't stick, but a few years ago, they were actually trying to add a 13th zodiac sign? Like, there was a big thing on Facebook. Like, there was even an article about it, add a 13th zodiac sign. And, like, if something is able to be changed just because people want to add something to it, I mean, how trustworthy is it for real? For real?
There you
Like,
go.
no, so I would rather believe in a God that's unchanging versus a zodiac sign that can be changed by people.
Yeah, amen to that. Like you said, if people can easily try to change the narrative and try to add something new into there, that's where, like I said, just shows how, like I said, it's a temporary thing and it's just something to be looked at for fun in a way. But definitely become more of a this is a idolatry kind of thing, and like I said, we know as Christians that like the word stays true. There's nothing that can be added to the word, nothing that can be subtracted from the word. Everything that's in the word has been in the word for as long as history. As it's been throughout history and all that. So there's no changing, there's no adding. Yes, there is. Some people may get technical and may say, well, there was changing. It's not, you're not reading it in its original language. It's like, okay, so there's translations, but besides that, there's overall the word still stands true to what it says. And as with zodiac signs, it changes every day. It tells you today you may um you're going to be having a good mood, you're going to be in a good mood, and all this, and then tomorrow is going to tell you something different. It's like, I don't know, just these are some crazy times we live in when people rely more on something that's man-made, like a zodiac sign, than something that was, created by God. And as a people value the existence of, I guess, these zodiac signs and fully believing in these things over God, which we have seen historical evidence of the Bible being real and biblical evidence and old artifacts found, and I just a whole bunch of different things that have been found, but so people just want to look the other way. Oh, stars! I'm a Gemini. I'm mean today because I'm a Gemini. It's like, okay, like that's where we're gonna go with this. Like, okay, we're just gonna turn the other cheek, and not biblically. Like, we're gonna turn the other cheek physically and ignore that. Hey, God's over there. It's,
Walk out. We're gonna turn the cheek and walk right on out. We just ain't even doing ain't even doing it today.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's sad out there. Like I said, it's almost like these generic things are almost. I mean, I know some people are going to think like, "Whoa, you're really getting like deep into this," but in a way, it's almost like labeling people. In a way, it's like if you're this, then you are automatically this. Like if you're this sign, then all of you are not so friendly because of you're this sign, and if you're this sign, then you want to be friends with these people, this sign, because they're the most friendliest people. But then you may see that there's a lot of those out there that, let's just say, these zodiac people don't come after me, so I may be way inaccurate with this, but let's just say that like the friendliest zodiac sign people out here is like Sagittarius. Like, let's just say they're all the friendliest people, but then you're gonna know that one or two people that are like definitely not friendly. So it's just like I said, it's just definitely going to contradict itself, especially when you know somebody that has that sign of the friendliest zodiac sign, and it doesn't stand true to what it says. So like I said, I don't know. It's just people rely on these things a little too much. And I know we actually mentioned about like, magicians and sorcery and stuff like that. And I kind of started thinking about like, as I was scrolling through TikTok like not too long ago, I was noticing like a lot of people reading like those tarot cards or whatever they're called, where they
Yeah.
like you pull up these random cards and like, oh, this is like so they tell you the image of what it is, and like, oh, this means like, you're gonna be, good with money here in the next, year or so. It's like, are we really should rely on these people like that have no proof of like, their things coming true? We're just gonna rely on them and just, and not even rely on what the word of God says. It blows my mind how people will believe more in what a tarot card reader or a fortune teller or like a medium or something like that, what they would say over what the creator of all of us and have said, what the creator says, instead of, like I said, we focus on these creations that can be used for evil, or people that do evil and against God. Like I said, just it's mind blowing to me.
And what happens when those tarot cards are wrong? Like, oh, you're going to be a great leader. What happens when you're a terrible follower? Like, you're over here and you're following the crowd. You're not a leader at all. What happens when those cards are wrong? What happens when, the cards or the stars or the what way the planets are lined up? You're supposed to get bukus of money, and so you're like, oh, I got money to spend, and next thing you know, you're broke as a joke and giving up money for your bills. Like, you just and like it frustrates me because, like, I have people saying something like stuff like that to me, and I'm like, you're putting your faith in man-made things. Yoga is a man-made thing. um what are we talking about? Zodiac signs. Sorry, my brain blanked. Zodiac signs, man-made things. Tarot cards, man-made things. Um, all you're putting your faith and your hope and what you believe in these man-made things. In and people, and have people say, "Well, you're putting your faith in a man." No. Yes, it is true that Jesus did walk this earth, but he was not a man as we are men. He never sinned. I mean, and I can't imagine going through my teenage years not sinning. I mean, I I would have hated to have been a sibling of Jesus. I'm just gonna say that. Like, can you imagine being compared to Jesus? And I mean, he was perfect. I mean, he was not fully man like we are. He was fully God, put here to walk this earth so that we could see how we need to live as Christians, so that we could be saved from our sin and the way that we're living without Jesus. He was put here to love us and to care for us and to save us and to redeem us, in spite of the fact that he knew that there was going to be so many people who didn't believe in him. He knew that he was going to go to the cross. He knew that he was going to be beaten. But, like, I don't know, maybe I sound crazy. Maybe I'm the crazy one. I don't know, but I just don't understand how you can put, or how someone can put their faith in man-made things. And I mean, people say, "Oh, the Bible's a man-made thing." No, the Bible is a record of God things. It is an eyewitness. It is multiple eyewitness accounts of God things, of God doing things, of God creating the earth, of God sending a huge flood that flooded the earth when, before that it had never even rained. Um, of God parting the Red Sea for the Israelites to go through. Delivering the Israelites out of Egypt was enough in itself, and all the different plagues, and Pharaoh's just like, get out, get out. But then for God to part the Red Sea and drown the enemies of the Israelites in that sea, like he said he was going to do. Um, Eyewitness accounts of David and Goliath, and how you got this little homeboy that loved Jesus, that used his slingshot. He had good aim. He was able to take one rock and kill a dude. I don't know anybody that's got perfect enough aim to be able to smack a dude in the head with a rock and kill him. No, it was God. I mean, you've got Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego who were thrown into a fiery furnace and came out without even the smell of smoke on their clothes. I mean, if anybody's ever been to a bonfire or to had a campfire, you know you got to wash your clothes at least twice to get that stench of smoke out of your clothes. You can't use enough fabric softener and good smelling stuff when you've been in the line of a camp of the from the smoke of the campfire. But those dudes come out not even smelling like smoke. I mean, you've got Daniel who was thrown into the lion's den. God shut the lion's mouths. I mean, you've got Ezekiel who saw an entire army be brought back to life, dry bones on the ground, just bunches of bones. That's it. And as he's standing there talking to Jesus or talking to God, I know people are going to say Jesus wasn't alive then. Jesus, God, Trinity, we ain't getting into that. But you got Ezekiel who's talking to God, and all of a sudden, ligaments and tendons and muscles start to form bones. And I'd have been freaking out. I mean, it's legit Walking Dead. Like these dudes were dead and now they're alive. They were made back into humans. I can't do that. I don't think I'd ever, I wouldn't want to do that. Only God can do stuff like that. I mean, and that's not even stuff that Jesus did, that miracles that he performed while he was here. This is all stuff God did that men and women saw and they were like, oh snap. Like this is something God did. The walls of Jericho came tumbling down because of some loud trumpets and some yelling. I mean, it's these supernatural things that happen, not these earthly things that speak so much to the difference in what a Christian believes versus what people who believe in earthly things like yoga and like zodiac signs and other things. And I can understand after I've sat here ranting like I can understand why atheists think we're crazy. But I also understand that they haven't had that experience to know. Like I'm definitely not in the least trying to make fun of atheists. I have a couple friends who are atheists, and we just have a mutual respect. I'm like, I'm praying for you. Like, I love you enough to hope that. I mean, and I've even the way our friendship started was he made a comment about how different I was as a person, and I was like, oh, that's Jesus. And he laughed at me. And I was like, what, you don't believe in Jesus? And he was like, no, you do? And I was like, yeah. And that was literally where our friendship started. Like we started talking, but we started discussing that. And I mean, and I told him in that first conversation with him, I was like, I hope for your sake that I'm wrong and you're right. I hope that when we die, there's just nothing. I hope that you're right. Because if you're right and I'm wrong, I'm out nothing. I've lived a good life. I've enjoyed my life. I live my life with a purpose and I've enjoyed my life. I had answers for the reasons why things didn't go the way I wanted them to, because to me that's God's plan, where to you life just sucks, but I hope that I'm wrong and you're right. And like when I said that, he looked like I was the craziest person because I would tell him that I hope that he's right and I'm wrong. And he asked why. I said, because if I'm right and you're wrong, you're going to burn for eternity. And then he turns around and was like, what kind of loving God would do that? And I'm like, what kind of crazy person would want to chance that? He's like, well, I don't need a God to be a reason to be a good person. No, you sure don't. You can be a good person without God. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, no matter how good you are, you're still not a good person. No matter what good things you think you do, you have done tenfold, 100-fold worse things. You may have told the truth today, but how many times have you told a lie? Even if it was a little white lie that's not going to hurt anybody, guess what? That little white lie is still not right. It's still a lie. It's still not the truth. I mean, how many times have you been driving down the road? Oh, I've been driving down the road. I'll let somebody get in front of me in traffic. I'm such a good person.